The yellow taxi stopped in front of the big glass building on Fifth Avenue. The driver looked in his mirror at the small woman sitting in the back seat. She was maybe 60 years old, with gray hair pulled back in a simple style. She wore a plain, black dress that looked like it came from a regular store, not an expensive shop. "This is the place, lady," the driver said. "Le Bernardin restaurant. You sure this is right? It's pretty fancy." Keiko Tanaka smiled softly and nodded. She handed him a $20 bill for the $15 ride. "Thank you very much," she said in careful English with a thick Japanese accent. The driver looked at her again. Most people who came to this restaurant arrived in black cars with drivers, or expensive cars they owned themselves. They wore clothes that cost more than he made in a month. This woman looked like she might work at a store or clean offices, but she seemed nice enough. Keiko stepped out onto the busy sidewalk. People walked quickly past her, talking on their phones or checking their watches. Nobody looked at her twice. She was just another older woman in New York City. She stood for a moment looking up at the restaurant's entrance. The doorman wore a uniform with gold buttons. Through the big windows, she could see people sitting at tables with white cloths. Candles flickered on every table. The walls were covered with expensive art. 3 months ago, Keiko had called to make a reservation. The person on the phone had been polite but cold when she gave her name as Kei Tanaka and spoke with her accent. They had not asked if she needed anything special. They had not offered her their best table. Now she walked toward the entrance. The doorman was helping a man and woman out of a black car. The man wore a suit that probably cost $5,000. The woman had diamonds around her neck that sparkled in the light. They walked past Keiko like she was invisible. "Good evening," the doorman said to the couple with a big smile. "Welcome to Le Bernardin." Keiko waited behind them. When they went inside, she stepped forward. "Good evening," she said quietly. The doorman looked down at her. His smile became smaller and less warm. "Yes, can I help you?" "I have dinner reservation," Keiko said. "Tanaka." The doorman looked surprised. He checked his watch. "You have a reservation here? Tonight?" "Yes." 8 o'clock. He opened the door for her, but not with the same energy he had shown the rich couple. "Go to the front desk inside." The inside of the restaurant was even more beautiful than it looked from outside. The floors were made of dark wood that shined like mirrors. Soft music played from hidden speakers. The air smelled like expensive perfume and fresh flowers. People sat at tables eating food that looked like art. They spoke in quiet voices about business deals and vacation trips to places Keiko had never heard of. Women wore dresses that cost more than most people made in a year. Men checked gold watches between bites of food. At the front desk stood a tall man in a perfect black suit. His hair was slicked back and he had the kind of smile that only appeared when he looked at important people. "Good evening," he said when Keiko approached. "How may I help you?" "I have reservation." "Tanaka, 8 o'clock. The man looked at his computer screen. His eyebrows went up slightly. "Ah, yes, here it is. Kei Tanaka, party of one." He looked at her again as if making sure she was the right person. "Right this way, please." He led her through the restaurant, but not to one of the good tables by the windows or in the center of the room. Instead, he took her to a small table near the back, close to the kitchen doors. It was the kind of table restaurants saved for people they did not think were important. "Here you are," he said, pulling out her chair. "Your server will be with you shortly." Keiko sat down and placed her old leather purse on the table. It was brown and worn from years of use. The zipper was broken on one side. Next to the crystal, glasses and silver forks, it looked out of place. At the table next to her, a young man and woman were having dinner. The man wore a watch that cost more than most people's cars. The woman had rings on every finger. They were talking loudly about their recent trip to Paris. "The hotel was adequate," the woman said, "but the service was not what I expected for $3,000 a night." "Next time we'll stay at the George Fiev," the man replied. "I know the manager there." They did not look at Keiko once. At another nearby table, 2 older men in expensive suits were discussing a business deal. We're looking at a $50 million acquisition, one said. The board meets next week to approve it. 50 million is nothing these days, the other replied. I just closed a deal for twice that amount. Keiko listened to all of this while she looked at her menu. The prices were very high. A simple piece of fish cost more than most people spent on food for a week. But she had not come here for the prices. A young waiter walked past her table 3 times without stopping. He was busy taking drink orders from the other tables, bringing bread and making sure everyone had water, but he seemed to not see Keiko sitting alone with her menu. Finally, an older waiter noticed her. He walked over with a tired expression. Have you decided what you would like to drink? He asked. His voice was polite but not warm. Water is fine, Keiko said. Still or sparkling? Still, please. He filled her glass from a pitcher and walked away without asking if she had any questions about the menu. Keiko sat quietly, watching the restaurant around her. This was not her first time being treated this way. In her 62 years of life, she had learned that people often decided who was important based on how someone looked, what they wore, and how they spoke. She opened her old purse and took out reading glasses with simple frames. As she put them on to read the menu better, she thought about all the times in her life when people had made assumptions about her. When she was young and first started working, people thought she was just a secretary because she was a woman. When she moved to America for business, people thought she could not understand English well because of her accent. When she walked into expensive stores, salespeople ignored her because of her simple clothes. But Keiko had learned something important over the years. She had learned that how people treated others when they thought those people were not important said everything about their character. It showed who they really were inside. Tonight, she was not here just for dinner. She was here to watch and learn. She wanted to see how the people in this expensive restaurant treated someone they thought was nobody special. She wanted to see who would show kindness to a stranger and who would only be nice to people they thought could help them. The waiter came back to take her order. He stood with his pen ready, looking like he wanted to finish quickly and move on to more important customers. I would like the fish, Keiko said, pointing to one of the items on the menu. Which fish? He asked. The salmon, please. How would you like it prepared? However the chef thinks is best. The waiter wrote down her order and walked away without saying anything else. Keiko watched him go to the next table where he smiled and joked with the couple about their wine choice. As she waited for her food, Keiko continued to observe everything around her. She saw how the staff treated different customers. She saw how the customers treated the staff. She saw who was kind and who was not. She had been doing this for years in restaurants and stores and hotels all over the world. Most people had no idea who she really was or what she did for work. They saw only what they wanted to see. An older Japanese woman who looked ordinary. Tonight would be interesting. Tonight would teach her something new about human nature. And maybe if she was lucky, she would meet someone who would surprise her with their kindness. Keiko sat quietly at her small table near the kitchen doors. Around her, the restaurant buzzed with conversation and the sounds of expensive dining. Crystal glasses clinked together as people made toasts. Silver forks and knives tapped against fine china plates. Soft laughter filled the air between tables. She watched everything with careful eyes. This was like watching a movie, except all the actors were real people who did not know they were being observed. At the table to her left, a man with gray hair and a gold tie was talking to 3 younger men. They all wore dark suits and expensive watches. The older man spoke loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. The Tokyo deal is worth 200 million, he said, cutting his steak. We close next Friday and then we celebrate. I'm thinking about buying that house in the Hamptons I showed you. One of the younger men nodded eagerly. That's incredible, Mr. Davidson. You really know how to make these deals happen. 25 years in this business, the older man replied. You learn how to spot opportunity. Most people are too afraid to take risks. Keiko listened and continued eating her salmon. It was cooked perfectly, but she was more interested in the conversations around her than the food. At another table, 2 women were discussing their recent shopping trip. One had blonde hair and wore a dress that probably cost more than most people made in a month. The other had dark hair and enough jewelry to buy a small car. I spent $15,000 at Bergdorf's. Yesterday, the blonde woman said. But you should see this handbag I bought. It's from Milan and only 50 were made. Only 15,000? Her friend laughed. I spent that much just on shoes last week. My husband says I'm going to bankrupt us, but what does he know? His company made $30 million last quarter. They both laughed like this was very funny. Keiko took a sip of water and continued to watch. A waiter walked past her table carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than most people's rent. He stopped at a table where 4 business people were celebrating something. Congratulations on the merger, the waiter said with a big smile. This champagne is from our private collection. It's been waiting for a special occasion like this. The people at the table seemed very pleased with the attention. They posed for photos with their expensive champagne and talked about their success. But when the same waiter walked past Keiko's table, he did not stop. He did not ask if she needed anything. He did not even look at her. This happened again and again throughout the evening. Staff members who smiled and chatted with other customers became invisible when they passed Keiko's table. It was like she was not really there. The sommelier, a man whose job was to help people choose wine, visited many tables during the evening. He would approach with a wine list and spend several minutes discussing options. He would tell stories about vineyards in France and explain why certain wines paired well with certain foods. When he walked near Keiko's table, she looked up hopefully. Maybe he would ask if she wanted wine with her dinner, but he walked right past without slowing down. At the table next to her, the young couple was getting louder as they drank more wine. The woman had been complaining about everything since they arrived. This restaurant used to be better, she said, loud enough for other people to hear. The service is getting worse every year, and look at the kind of people they let in now. She glanced toward Keiko's table when she said this. You're right, her boyfriend agreed. This place is becoming too common. Maybe we should try that new place in Soho instead. At least there we won't have to sit next to tourists and random people, the woman said. Keiko understood every word they said, but she did not react. She had heard comments like this many times before. People often said cruel things when they thought others could not understand them, or when they thought those people did not matter. She took out her old flip phone to check the time. Several people at nearby tables stared at the phone like they had never seen one before. In a restaurant full of the latest smartphones, her simple phone looked very out of place. A woman at a nearby table whispered to her husband, "Look at that phone. I haven't seen one of those in 10 years. Some people just don't keep up with technology," he whispered back. They both looked at Keiko with expressions that mixed curiosity and judgment. The waiter who had taken her order earlier finally returned to check on her meal. But his visit was quick and without warmth. "How is everything?" he asked, already looking toward other tables. "Very good, thank you," Keiko replied. He nodded and started to walk away. "Excuse me," Keiko said softly. "Could I have more water, please?" The waiter looked slightly annoyed but refilled her glass. At the next table, he spent 5 minutes talking with customers about dessert options and coffee choices. As the evening continued, Keiko observed more examples of how differently people were treated. When a famous-looking man entered the restaurant, the entire staff seemed to notice. The manager himself came to greet the man and personally escorted him to the best table by the window. "Mr. Richardson," the manager said with a huge smile, "how wonderful to see you again. Your usual table is ready." "Thank you, James," the man replied. "Take good care of me tonight. I have some important guests coming." "Of course, sir. Our best chef will personally prepare your meal." Keiko watched this special treatment with interest. This was how the restaurant treated people they recognized as important. The difference between this greeting and her own was like night and day. She noticed something else interesting. The customers who received the best treatment often treated the staff poorly. The man at the window table snapped his fingers at waiters and complained loudly when his water glass was empty for more than a minute. "This service is unacceptable," he said when his appetizer was 2 minutes late. "I eat here twice a week, and I expect better than this." The staff apologized repeatedly and brought him free bread and wine to make up for the small delay. Meanwhile, customers like Keiko, who were ignored by the staff, were polite and patient. She said, "Please and thank you for everything." She did not complain when service was slow. She did not demand special attention. It seemed backwards to her. The people who received the worst service were often the kindest, while the people who received the best service often acted the most demanding. A new group of customers arrived and was seated at a large table in the center of the restaurant. They were clearly very wealthy. The women wore designer dresses and expensive jewelry. The men had custom-made suits and gold watches. The entire staff seemed to orbit around their table. Multiple waiters took their orders. The sommelier spent 20 minutes helping them choose wine. The manager visited twice to make sure everything was perfect. "We're celebrating the launch of our new company," one of the men announced loudly. "It's going to revolutionize the tech industry." "To success and money," another man said, raising his glass. They all laughed and clinked glasses. Their celebration was so loud that other customers turned to look. Keiko watched all of this while finishing her salmon. She thought about the different worlds that existed in this one restaurant. There was the world of the wealthy customers who received special treatment. There was the world of the staff who had to smile and serve no matter how they were treated. And there was her world, where she was invisible and ignored. But being invisible had advantages. People said and did things around her that they would never do if they knew who she really was. She learned more about human nature by being ignored than she ever could by being recognized. She looked around the restaurant one more time. In a few hours, all these people would go home to their expensive apartments and houses. They would sleep in beds that cost more than most people's cars. Tomorrow they would wake up and continue their lives of privilege and wealth. But tonight they had shown her something important about themselves. They had shown her how they treated people they thought were beneath them. They had shown her their true character when they thought nobody important was watching. As Keiko waited for dessert, she thought about what she had learned so far. The evening was not over yet, and she suspected there were more surprises to come. In the kitchen behind the swinging doors, Maya Sato was having the worst night of her life. She had been working at Le Bernardin for only 3 months, and every shift felt like a test she might fail. Maya was 23 years old and far from home. She had come to New York from Tokyo to study business at Columbia University. Her dream was to learn about American companies and take that knowledge back to Japan someday. But first, she had to survive her studies, and that meant working as many hours as possible to pay for school. The restaurant job was supposed to be temporary, just something to help with expenses while she focused on her education. But the rent in New York was much higher than she had expected. Her small apartment in Washington Heights cost more than her family's house payment back in Japan. Tonight, everything was going wrong. The restaurant was completely full, with a waiting list of people hoping for tables. Every server was running, between the kitchen and dining room, carrying heavy trays and trying to keep all their customers happy. Maya had been assigned to cover the back section of the restaurant, near the kitchen doors. It was not the best section. The tables were smaller and the customers usually tipped less. But for a new server like Maya, it was where she belonged until she proved herself. The first problem happened early in her shift. Maya was carrying a tray with 4 glasses of water to a table of business people. The tray was heavier than she expected, and her hands were shaking from nerves. As she approached the table, one of the men pushed his chair back suddenly to answer his phone. Maya tried to stop, but it was too late. She bumped into his chair and the tray tilted. 3 of the water glasses stayed on the tray, but one fell off and spilled all over the man's expensive suit. "What are you doing?" the man shouted, jumping up from his chair. "Look at my suit. This cost $5,000. The entire restaurant seemed to stop and stare. Maya felt her face turn red with embarrassment. "I am so sorry," she said in her heavily accented English. "Please let me help clean." "Don't touch me," the man snapped. "You've done enough damage already." His business partners looked angry too. One of them called for the manager. "This is unacceptable," another man at the table said. "We have an important meeting tonight, and now look at this mess." Maya stood there with the wet tray in her hands, wishing she could disappear. Other customers were staring and whispering. She could feel tears starting to form in her eyes, but she fought them back. Robert Chen, The restaurant manager appeared quickly. He was a thin man with gray hair who always looked stressed during busy nights. "I am so sorry about this," he said to the angry customer. "We will take care of your dry cleaning bill, of course, and your entire meal tonight will be complimentary." "That's not enough," the man said. "I want this clumsy waitress fired. She has no business working in a restaurant like this." Maya felt her heart sink. She needed this job desperately. Without it, she would not be able to pay for school or rent. "I understand your frustration," Mr. Chen replied. "Maya, please go clean up this water and then come see me in my office." Maya hurried to get towels and clean the floor around the table. Her hands were shaking even more now. As she wiped up the water, she could hear the angry customer still complaining loudly. "Restaurants like this should only hire qualified people," he was saying, "not random foreigners who can barely speak English." His words hurt Maya more than the spilled water. She had worked so hard to improve her English since coming to America. She studied late into the night, practicing pronunciation and learning new words. But apparently it was not enough. After cleaning the floor, Maya went to Mr. Chen's office. It was a small room behind the kitchen filled with papers and schedules. "Maya, sit down," Mr. Chen said. His voice was tired and frustrated. "This is the third mistake you've made this month. First, you forgot to tell the kitchen about that customer's allergy. Then you brought the wrong wine to table 12. Now this." "I am very sorry, Mr. Chen," Maya said. "I will be more careful." "I like you, Maya. You work hard, and you're always on time. But this is an expensive restaurant with very demanding customers. We cannot afford mistakes like this." Maya felt tears threatening again. "Please, Mr. Chen, I need this job. I will do better, I promise." Mr. Chen looked at her with sympathy, but also with the weight of running a business. "One more chance," he said finally. "But Maya, if you make another serious mistake, I will have to let you go. I cannot risk losing important customers." Maya nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Mr. Chen. I will not let you down." She returned to the dining room feeling shaken but determined. The rest of her tables were still waiting for service and she was already behind schedule. For the next hour, Maya worked harder than ever. She double-checked every order. She walked more carefully with every tray. She smiled at customers even when they were rude to her, but the stress was getting to her. Her English, which was usually understandable, became harder to follow when she was nervous. Customers had to ask her to repeat herself multiple times. Some of them looked annoyed and impatient. At one table, an older woman was particularly mean. "Speak English properly," the woman said when Maya mispronounced a word. "This is America. If you're going to work here, you should learn the language." Maya apologized and tried again, but her accent seemed to get thicker when she was nervous. Another problem happened when she brought the wrong appetizer to a different table. The customer had ordered the lobster, but Maya had written down the crab. It was an honest mistake, but the customer was not understanding. "How hard is it to write down a simple order?" he asked loudly. "Are you even listening to what we say?" Maya had to return to the kitchen and wait for the correct appetizer to be prepared. This made her other tables wait longer for their food, which made them unhappy too. By 9 o'clock, Maya was exhausted and stressed. Her feet hurt from running around in cheap shoes. Her back ached from carrying heavy trays. And her confidence was completely gone. She was refilling water glasses when she noticed a quiet woman sitting alone at a corner table. The woman was older, maybe in her 60s, with gray hair and a kind face. She was wearing a simple black dress and had an old leather purse on the table. Maya realized this woman had been sitting there for a while, but nobody had paid much attention to her. She was not demanding like the other customers. She had not complained about anything. She just sat quietly, eating her dinner and watching the restaurant around her. Maya felt bad that this customer had been ignored. Even though she was already behind with her other tables, she decided to check on the woman. As she approached the table, Maya noticed something different about this customer. While other people in the restaurant looked at Maya with impatience or annoyance, this woman looked at her with kind eyes. There was no judgment in her expression, only gentleness. "Excuse me," Maya said, approaching the table carefully. "How is your dinner tonight?" Is there anything I can get for you? The woman looked up and smiled. It was the first genuine smile Maya had received from a customer all evening. Everything is very good, thank you, the woman said. Her voice was soft and calm. Maya was about to move on to her next table when something made her pause. There was something about this woman that seemed familiar, though Maya was sure they had never met before. Maybe it was the woman's quiet dignity. Maybe it was the way she treated Maya like a real person instead of just a server. Or maybe it was something else entirely. Whatever it was, Maya felt drawn to spend an extra moment at this table. In a restaurant full of demanding, rude customers, this woman seemed like an island of peace. Are you visiting New York? Maya asked, though she knew she should not spend too much time talking to customers. Yes, the woman replied. I am here. On business. This is a very beautiful restaurant, Maya smiled. Yes, it is. I hope you enjoy the rest of your dinner. As Maya started to walk away, the woman said something that made her stop. Excuse me, the woman said quietly. Are you all right? You look tired. Maya was surprised. In 3 months of working here, no customer had ever asked about her well-being. They ordered their food, ate their meals, and left. They did not care about the people serving them. I am fine, thank you, Maya said automatically. But her voice betrayed her exhaustion. The woman studied Maya's face with concern. There was something maternal about her expression, something that reminded Maya of her own mother back in Japan. It is hard work serving people, the woman said gently. I can see you are working very hard tonight. Maya felt unexpected tears spring to her eyes. After hours of being treated rudely, this simple kindness almost broke her composure. Yes, she admitted quietly. It is hard sometimes. The woman nodded with understanding. But you are strong. I can see that too. Before Maya could respond, Mr. Chen appeared beside her. Maya, he said quietly but firmly. You have other tables waiting. Maya nodded quickly. Sorry, Mr. Chen, I was just checking on... It's all right, the woman said kindly. She was taking very good care of me. Mr. Chen looked at the woman more carefully as if noticing her for the first time. Then he nodded and walked away. Maya had to return to her other customers, but she found herself thinking about the kind woman throughout the rest of her shift. In a night full of mistakes and cruel treatment, that brief moment of human kindness felt like a gift. The restaurant was finally starting to quiet down as the evening grew later. Many of the early dinner customers had left, and the staff was beginning to clean up empty tables. Maya felt exhausted, but her shift would not end for another hour. She was wiping down a table when she noticed the kind woman in the corner was ready for dessert. Maya had been thinking about their brief conversation all evening. There had been something special about the way the woman spoke to her, something that felt different from every other customer interaction she had experienced. Maya approached the table with a dessert menu, walking more slowly than usual. Her feet hurt terribly in her cheap shoes, and she had to concentrate to hide her exhaustion. Would you like to see the dessert menu? Maya asked, placing it gently on the table. The woman looked up with the same warm smile Maya remembered. That would be lovely, thank you. As Maya set down the menu, she noticed the woman was studying her face with concern. You have been working very hard tonight, the woman observed quietly. Are you feeling all right? Maya was surprised again by this customer's kindness. She glanced around to make sure Mr. Chen was not watching, then allowed herself a moment of honesty. It has been a difficult evening, she admitted. But I am okay. The woman nodded with understanding. She gestured to the empty chair across from her. Would you like to sit for just a moment? You look like you need to rest your feet. Maya looked around nervously. I should not sit with customers. My manager would not like it. Just for a minute, the woman said gently. I promise I will not get you in trouble. There was something about the woman's voice that made Maya trust her. She sat down carefully on the edge of the chair, ready to jump up if Mr. Chen appeared. My name is Keiko, the woman said softly. Am Maya, she replied. Maya Sato. Sato, Keiko repeated thoughtfully. That is a Japanese name. Maya nodded. Yes, I am from Tokyo. I came here to study. Ah, Keiko said. And then something wonderful happened. She spoke in perfect Japanese. How long have you been in America? Maya's eyes widened with surprise and relief. After 8 hours of struggling, with English, hearing her native language felt like coming home. Almost 1 year, Maya replied in Japanese, feeling tears of gratitude starting in her eyes. I did not expect to meet someone who speaks Japanese tonight. There are not many of us in places like this, Keiko said with a gentle laugh. What are you studying? Business, Maya answered, relaxing for the first time all evening. I want to learn about American companies and maybe work internationally someday. Keiko's eyes lit up with interest. That is a wonderful goal. Business is challenging but rewarding. Are you enjoying your studies? Maya's expression changed slightly. When I have time for them, I work so many hours to pay for school and rent that sometimes I am too tired to study properly. That sounds very difficult, Keiko said with sympathy. Living in a foreign country and working and studying at the same time requires great strength. Maya felt herself opening up to this stranger in a way she had not expected. There was something about Keiko that made her feel safe and understood. Sometimes, I wonder if I made a mistake coming here, Maya admitted. Everything is so expensive and the work is so hard and people. She paused, remembering the cruel comments from customers earlier that night. People can be unkind when they do not understand your situation, Keiko finished gently. Yes, Maya said quietly. Tonight a customer said I should not work in a restaurant like this because I am foreign. He wanted me to be fired. Keiko's expression became serious. That must have been very hurtful. It was, but what hurt more was feeling like he might be right. Maybe I do not belong in a place like this. Maya, Keiko said firmly but kindly, listen to me carefully. You belong anywhere you choose to work hard and treat people with respect. That customer was wrong. Maya felt tears starting again, but this time they were tears of gratitude rather than sadness. You are very kind to say that, she said. I am not just being kind. I am telling you the truth. Keiko paused, studying Maya's face. Can I ask you something? What keeps you going when things are difficult? Maya thought about this question seriously. My family back home. They worked very hard to help me come here. My mother cleans offices at night to help pay for my education. My father works 2 jobs. I cannot give up because that would mean their sacrifices were for nothing. Keiko nodded, with deep respect. Your parents sound like remarkable people. They raised a daughter with great strength and determination. Do you have children? Maya asked. Keiko's expression became thoughtful. No, I never had children, but I meet young people like you sometimes, and I feel proud of what they accomplish. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Around them, the restaurant continued its evening rhythm, but their conversation had created a small bubble of peace and understanding. Maya, Keiko said quietly, I want to tell you something important. I have been watching this restaurant tonight, observing how different people are treated. Maya looked puzzled. What do you mean? I mean, I have seen how the staff treats customers who look wealthy and how they treat customers who look ordinary. I have seen how customers treat staff members who they think are important and how they treat those they think are not. Maya glanced around the dining room, beginning to understand. You have been watching the way people behave? Yes. And do you know what I have learned tonight? Maya shook her head. I have learned that you are one of the kindest, most hard-working people in this entire restaurant. Despite being treated rudely by customers, despite making mistakes because you are tired and stressed, you have remained polite and caring with everyone. Maya felt her cheeks flush. I was just trying to do my job. No, Keiko said firmly. You are doing much more than that. When that man yelled at you about his suit, you apologized sincerely, even though it was partly his fault for moving his chair. When customers spoke to you rudely, you responded with patience. And just now, you showed concern for my well-being even though you are the one who is exhausted. Maya did not know what to say. No one had ever described her work this way before. That tells me everything I need to know about your character, Keiko continued. You treat people well regardless of how they treat you. That is a rare and valuable quality. In Japan, we learn to respect others, Maya said quietly. Yes, but this goes beyond cultural teaching. This comes from who you are as a person. At that moment, Mr. Chen appeared beside their table. Maya started to stand up quickly, but Keiko gestured for her to remain seated. Is everything all right here? Mr. Chen asked, looking concerned that his employee was sitting with a customer. Everything is perfect, Keiko said calmly. Maya has been taking excellent care of me tonight. She is a credit to your restaurant. Mr. Chen looked surprised by this praise. That's wonderful to hear. Maya, when you have a moment, table 6 needs their check. Of course, Maya said, standing up. I will take care of it right away. As Mr. Chen walked away, Keiko smiled at Maya. See? You are more valued than you realize. Maya felt a warmth spreading through her chest that she had not felt in months. This conversation with Keiko had reminded her of something important. Her worth as a person was not determined by how others treated her. Thank you, Maya said softly in Japanese. Talking with you has meant more than you know. For me as well, Keiko replied. It is not often I meet someone with such genuine kindness. Maya had to return to her other customers, but as she walked away, she felt different than she had all evening. The exhaustion was still there and her feet still hurt, but something inside her had changed. She had been reminded that she was not just a struggling foreign student working in a restaurant. She was a person with dignity, dreams, and valuable qualities that others could recognize. As she brought the check to table 6, Maya found herself standing a little straighter. She spoke to the customers with more confidence, and when one of them thanked her for good service, she accepted the compliment with grace instead of surprise. Back at her corner table, Keiko watched Maya move through the restaurant with new energy. She had seen something special in this young woman from the beginning, and their conversation had confirmed her instincts. The evening was not over yet, and Keiko had more to learn about Maya. But already she was beginning to form an idea that could change both of their lives forever. As the restaurant grew quieter, Maya found herself returning to Keiko's table more often than necessary. Each time she passed by, Keiko would smile warmly and sometimes make a small comment in Japanese. These brief moments became the highlights of Maya's difficult evening. When Maya brought Keiko's coffee, the older woman gestured again for her to sit down. Are you sure it is all right? Maya asked, looking around nervously. The restaurant is not so busy now, Keiko observed. And you have been working for many hours. A few minutes of rest will not hurt. Maya sat down gratefully. Her legs felt like they might collapse if she had to stand much longer. Tell me about your family in Japan, Keiko said gently. What do your parents think about your studies here? Maya's face brightened as she spoke about home. My mother cries every time we talk on the phone because she misses me, but she is also proud that I am the first person in our family to attend university. Your mother sounds wonderful, Keiko said. She is. She works cleaning offices from midnight until 6 in the morning, then comes home to take care of my grandmother. She never complains, but I know she is tired all the time. And your father? He drives a taxi during the day and works at a warehouse at night. He says he is saving money so I can focus on studying instead of worrying about expenses. Maya's voice became sad. But even with their help, it is still so hard. Sometimes I feel guilty for being here while they work so much. Keiko listened with deep attention. She had met many young people over the years, but there was something special about Maya's story. The young woman spoke about her parents with such love and respect, even while acknowledging their struggles. Your parents are investing in your future, Keiko said thoughtfully. They understand that education can change not just your life, but the lives of future generations in your family. That is what my mother always says, Maya replied. She says I am not just studying for myself, but for all the daughters who will come after me. Your mother is very wise. Maya nodded, then looked troubled. But what if I fail? What if I cannot finish school because I cannot afford it? What if all their sacrifices are for nothing? Keiko leaned forward slightly. Maya, Can I tell you a story about my own youth? Maya nodded eagerly. When I was your age, I also came to America to study. This was many years ago when it was even more unusual for Japanese women to study abroad. My family was not wealthy. My father sold fish at the market and my mother took in sewing to make extra money. Maya listened with growing interest. I worked in restaurants too, just like you. I cleaned houses, I babysat children. Sometimes I was so tired that I would fall asleep in the library while studying. There were many nights when I wondered if I should give up and return to Japan. What kept you going? Maya asked. The same thing that keeps you going, the knowledge that my parents believed in me, even when I did not believe in myself. And gradually, I learned something important. What was that? I learned that struggle does not mean failure. Struggle means growth. Every difficult day was teaching me something valuable about perseverance, about treating people with kindness even when I was tired, about finding strength I did not know I had. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes again. Did it get easier? Some things got easier, yes. But more importantly, I got stronger. And all those difficult experiences made me better at everything I did later in life. What did you study? Maya asked. Business, like you. I wanted to understand how companies worked, how to create jobs for people, how to build something that would last. Did you achieve your goals? Keiko smiled mysteriously. In ways I never expected when I was young. At that moment, a customer at another table called for Maya's attention. She started to get up, but Keiko gently touched her arm. Before you go, I want to ask you something. What do you hope to do after you finish your studies? Maya paused to think. I want to start a company that helps young people from developing countries get good jobs. I know how hard it is to be far from home, trying to build a better life. I want to help others who face the same challenges. Keiko's eyes lit up with genuine admiration. That is a beautiful dream. The world needs more people who remember their struggles and want to help others. Do you think it is realistic? Maya asked. Sometimes people tell me I should focus on getting a regular job first. Maya, Keiko said seriously, never let anyone convince you to make your dreams smaller. The fact that you want to help others tells me you have the heart of a true leader. Maya felt a surge of confidence she had not experienced in months. Thank you for saying that. It means so much coming from someone like you. Someone like me? Someone who is wise and kind. Someone who has clearly succeeded in life but still takes time to encourage a struggling student. Keiko smiled warmly. We all need encouragement sometimes. Maya finally went to help her other customer, but the conversation with Keiko had filled her with new energy. As she served the remaining tables, she found herself thinking about her dreams with renewed hope. Other customers in the restaurant had begun to notice the unusual friendship developing between Maya and Keiko. Some looked curious, others seemed puzzled that a server would spend so much time talking with one customer. At a nearby table, two wealthy women were whispering about it. That waitress has been sitting with that woman all evening, one said. It's very unprofessional. Maybe they know each other, the other replied. Though I can't imagine how. They seem like they're from completely different worlds. The women did not realize that Keiko could hear every word they said. She had spent the entire evening listening to similar comments about herself and about Maya. People made assumptions based on appearances, never considering that there might be more to someone's story than what they could see. When Maya returned to clear Keiko's coffee cup, the older woman was looking thoughtful. Maya, she said quietly, I have been observing this restaurant tonight, watching how people treat each other. What have you seen? Maya asked, sitting down once more. I have seen that many people judge others very quickly. They decide who is important and who is not based on clothing, accent, appearance. They treat some people with respect and others with dismissal. Maya nodded sadly. I have noticed this too. It is one of the hardest parts about working here. But I have also seen something else, Keiko continued. I have seen that the people who are treated poorly often show the most grace and kindness. Like you tonight. I do not feel graceful, Maya admitted. I feel clumsy and tired most of the time. Grace is not about being perfect. Grace is about how you respond when things are difficult. You were insulted and embarrassed tonight, but you did not become bitter or rude. You continued to treat everyone with courtesy. Maya thought about this. My grandmother always said that how we treat others shows who we really are inside. Your grandmother was very wise. In Japan, we have a saying, "The true nature of a person is revealed in how they treat those who can do nothing for them." I have heard that saying, Maya said. Do you think it is true? I know it is true. I have spent my whole life watching people, and I have learned that kindness toward strangers is the best measure of character. As they talked, neither woman noticed that several other customers and staff members were watching their conversation with growing curiosity. In a restaurant where most interactions were formal and brief, their obvious connection stood out. Mr. Chen approached the table again, this time looking more concerned. Maya, I need you to finish your closing duties soon, he said. It's getting late. Of course, Mr. Chen, Maya replied, starting to stand. Actually, Keiko said calmly, I was hoping Maya could help me with something before I leave. I am not familiar with this area of the city, and I need directions to my hotel. Mr. Chen looked surprised that a customer was specifically requesting Maya's help. Of course, we can call you a taxi, or I can give you directions myself. That's very kind, Keiko said, but Maya has been so helpful tonight. I would prefer her assistance. Mr. Chen nodded, looking puzzled but pleased that a customer was specifically praising one of his servers. After he walked away, Keiko smiled at Maya. I do not really need directions. I wanted a few more minutes to talk with you. Maya laughed softly. You are very clever. I wanted to ask you one more question, Keiko said. If you could have any job in the world, anything at all, what would it be? Maya thought carefully before answering. I would want to run a company that connects young people from different countries with educational and job opportunities, like a bridge between cultures and economies. That is a wonderful vision, Keiko said, and I believe you will achieve it someday. Do you really think so? I know so. You have intelligence, determination, and most importantly, you have compassion. Those are the qualities that build successful companies and change the world. As Maya prepared to finish her shift, she felt transformed by her conversation with Keiko. A few hours ago, she had been ready to quit and return to Japan. Now, she felt ready to face whatever challenges came next. She had no idea that this chance meeting would soon change her life in ways she could never have imagined. The restaurant was nearly empty now. Only a few tables still had customers finishing their late dinners. Maya was completing her closing duties, wiping down tables and organizing the service station, but her mind kept returning to her conversation with Keiko. Throughout the evening, the kind older woman had treated Maya like a real person, not just a server. She had listened to Maya's dreams and struggles with genuine interest. Most importantly, she had reminded Maya of her own worth at a time when she needed it most. Maya glanced over at Keiko's table. The woman was sitting quietly reading something on her old flip phone. Even now, near the end of the evening, other customers and staff barely noticed her. She remained invisible to most people in the restaurant. Maya finished organizing the silverware and walked over to Keiko's table one last time. Is there anything else I can bring you tonight? She asked in Japanese. Keiko looked up with a warm smile. I think I am ready for my check, please. Maya felt a small sadness that their evening together was ending. Of course, I will bring it right away. She went to the computer terminal to print Keiko's bill. The total was $87 for the salmon dinner, coffee, and small dessert. Not an expensive meal by the restaurant standards, but probably a significant amount for someone who dressed so modestly. When Maya returned with the check, Keiko was putting away her phone and gathering her things. She opened her old leather purse to look for her wallet. Maya expected to see a simple wallet, maybe with cash or a regular credit card. Instead, she watched in surprise as Keiko pulled out a wallet made of expensive leather, and from it she withdrew a credit card that was unlike any Maya had ever seen. The card was made of metal and had a distinct platinum color that seemed to shine under the restaurant's lights. Maya had heard about these cards before. They were only given to people who spent enormous amounts of money each year, the kind of people who could buy cars without thinking about the price. Maya tried not to stare, but she could not help feeling confused. How did a woman who dressed so simply and carried such an old purse have a credit card that only millionaires could qualify for? Keiko noticed Maya's expression and smiled gently. "Sometimes things are not what they appear to be," she said quietly, in Japanese. Maya nodded, though she still felt puzzled. She took the credit card and went to process the payment. As she ran the card through the machine, she looked more carefully at the name printed on it. Keiko Tanaka. She read silently. The name seemed familiar somehow, but Maya could not remember where she might have heard it before. When she returned with the receipt for Keiko to sign, Maya watched as the woman carefully wrote her signature. Her handwriting was elegant and confident, the kind that comes from signing important documents regularly. As Keiko signed the receipt, Maya's eyes wandered to the tip line. She expected a standard 15 or 20% tip, which would be about $15. Instead, she watched in shock as Keiko wrote $500 in clear numbers. Maya's hands began to shake slightly. $500 was more than she made in an entire week of working at the restaurant. It was enough to pay her rent for the month. She looked at the number again, certain she must be reading it wrong. "Excuse me," Maya said quietly in Japanese. "I think there might be a mistake with the tip amount." Keiko looked at the receipt and smiled. "No mistake. You provided excellent service tonight." "But this is too much," Maya protested. $500 is what you deserve," Keiko finished gently. "You worked very hard tonight, and you treated me with kindness when others ignored me." Maya felt tears starting in her eyes again. "I cannot accept this much money. It is too generous." "Maya," Keiko said seriously, "I want you to accept this gift. Use it to help with your expenses so you can focus more on your studies." "But why?" Maya asked. "You do not even know me." "I know enough," Keiko replied. "I know you are working hard to build a better life. I know you treat people with respect, regardless of how they treat you. I know you have dreams of helping others achieve their goals." Maya was overwhelmed with gratitude and confusion. "I do not understand. How can you afford to give away so much money?" Keiko studied Maya's face for a moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. "Maya, can I ask you something? Do you ever read business news or magazines?" "Sometimes for my classes," Maya replied. "We study successful companies and their leaders." "What about Japanese business news?" "Yes, I try to keep up with news from home." "Why do you ask?" Keiko reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. It was simple and elegant, with just a name, title, and phone number printed in both English and Japanese. Maya took the card and read it carefully. Her eyes grew wide as she processed the information. Keiko Tanaka, Chief Executive Officer, Tanaka Industries, she read aloud in Japanese. The name of the company made her gasp. She looked up at Keiko with complete shock. "Tanaka Industries? The technology company?" Keiko nodded calmly. Maya's mind raced as she remembered what she knew about Tanaka Industries. It was one of Japan's most successful technology companies with offices around the world. The company made computer components and software that were used by millions of people. The CEO was known for being private and rarely appeared in public, but Maya remembered reading that she was one of the wealthiest women in Japan. "You are," Maya began, but could not finish the sentence. "I am someone who was once exactly where you are now," Keiko said gently, "a young Japanese woman working in American restaurants to pay for school, dreaming of building something that would matter." Maya stared at the business card, then at Keiko, then back at the card. The modest woman who had been ignored by everyone in the restaurant all evening was actually one of the most powerful business leaders in Japan. "I cannot believe this," Maya whispered. "Believe it," Keiko said with a smile, "and believe that your dreams are possible too." Maya's hands were shaking as she held the business card. "Why did you not tell anyone who you are?" The staff would have treated you completely differently. Exactly, Keiko replied. I wanted to see how people behaved when they thought I was nobody important. I learned a great deal tonight. What did you learn? I learned that most people judge others based on appearance and status. But I also learned that some people like you show kindness to everyone regardless of who they think that person might be. Maya felt overwhelmed by this revelation. I served you badly tonight. I was tired and made mistakes. You served me with courtesy and respect, Keiko corrected. You showed interest in my well-being when you were the one who needed care. You shared your dreams and struggles honestly. Those things matter much more than perfect service. Other customers and staff members had begun to notice something unusual happening at the corner table. Maya's shocked expression in the long conversation had attracted attention. A few people were trying to see what was written on the business card. Mr. Chen approached the table looking curious and slightly concerned. Is everything all right here? He asked. Keiko looked up at him calmly. Everything is perfect. Maya has provided exceptional service tonight. That's wonderful to hear, Mr. Chen replied, though he looked puzzled by Maya's stunned expression. After Mr. Chen walked away, Keiko stood up and gathered her simple purse. I should let you finish your work, she said to Maya, but I hope you will call the number on that card. When should I call? Maya asked, still staring at the business card in disbelief. Monday morning. Ask for my assistant, Mrs. Yamamoto. Tell her we met tonight and that I asked you to call. Maya nodded, though she felt like she was in a dream. And Maya, Keiko added quietly, do not let anyone make you feel like you do not belong in places like this. You belong anywhere you choose to work hard and treat people well. As Keiko walked toward the restaurant's exit, Maya watched in amazement. The woman who had been practically invisible all evening was actually one of the most successful business leaders in the world. A few other staff members noticed Maya's shocked expression and the generous tip amount on the receipt. What happened over there? Asked Jenny, another server. You look like you've seen a ghost. Maya looked down at the business card in her hand, then at the $500 tip on the receipt. I think, Maya said slowly, I just met someone who is going to change my life. But even as she said those words, Maya had no idea how dramatically true they would turn out to be. Maya stood frozen at the empty table, staring at the business card and the receipt with the $500 tip. The numbers seemed impossible, like something from a dream. Around her, the restaurant continued its end-of-evening routine, but she felt like time had stopped. Maya, are you okay? Jenny, the other server, appeared beside her with a concerned expression. Maya held up the receipt with trembling hands. Look at this tip amount. Jenny's eyes went wide. $500, are you serious? That's more than I make in 2 weeks. Word spread quickly among the staff. Within minutes, several servers and busboys had gathered around Maya's table to see the receipt. Even some of the kitchen staff came out to look. Who was that customer? Asked Carlos, one of the busboys. She must be incredibly rich. She did not look rich, Maya said quietly, still staring at the business card. She was dressed very simply. She carried an old purse. Everyone ignored her all evening. Mr. Chen appeared, drawn by the unusual gathering of staff members. What's going on here? He asked. Jenny handed him the receipt. Mr. Chen's eyebrows shot up when he saw the tip amount. $500? He looked at Maya with new interest. What did you do to earn such a generous tip? I just tried to be kind to her, Maya replied honestly. She seemed lonely sitting by herself. Mr. Chen studied the receipt more carefully, then looked at Maya with a mixture of surprise and approval. Well, whatever you did, it worked. This is the largest tip anyone has ever left in this restaurant. He paused. Maya, I owe you an apology. Earlier tonight I was worried about your performance, but clearly this customer saw something special in your service. Maya nodded, but her mind was still focused on the business card in her other hand. She had not told anyone yet about Keiko's true identity. It seemed too incredible to believe, let alone explain to others. As the other staff members returned to their closing duties, Maya sat down at the empty table to process what had happened. She took out her phone and carefully searched for Keiko, Tanaka Industries. The search results made her gasp. Page after page of articles about one of Japan's most successful businesswomen. Photos of Keiko at company events, though in these pictures she wore expensive business suits and was surrounded by other corporate executives. Awards and recognition for her company's innovations. Articles about her net worth, estimated at over $800 million. Maya scrolled through the articles with growing amazement. Here was the same woman who had sat quietly in the corner of the restaurant all evening, ignored by staff and customers alike. The same woman who had listened to Maya's struggles with such kindness and understanding. One article particularly caught her attention. It was titled, "The Secret to Tanaka Industries' Success. CEO Believes in Investing in People." The article described Keiko's philosophy of finding talented young people and giving them opportunities to grow. Ms. Tanaka believes that the future of business lies in identifying potential rather than just credentials, the article explained. She has built her company by finding people who others might overlook and helping them develop their abilities. Maya felt her heart racing as she read these words. Could it be that their meeting tonight was not just a coincidence? She continued reading. Another article mentioned that Keiko often traveled quietly, without the usual entourage of assistance and security that most CEOs required. She preferred to observe businesses and people without them knowing who she was. "I learn more about human nature when people treat me as an ordinary person," Keiko was quoted as saying. "You discover people's true character when they think you cannot help or hurt their careers." Maya put down her phone and looked around the restaurant. Everything made sense now. Keiko had not come here just for dinner. She had come to observe how people behaved when they thought she was nobody important. And somehow Maya had passed whatever test Keiko had been conducting. Maya finished her closing duties in a daze. She cleaned tables, counted her tip money, and said goodbye to her co-workers, but her mind was completely focused on Monday morning. What would happen when she called the number on the business card? As she gathered her things to leave, Mr. Chen approached her again. "Maya, I want you to know that what happened tonight has made me reconsider my earlier concerns about your performance," he said. "Any customer who leaves a tip like that clearly received exceptional service." "Thank you, Mr. Chen," Maya replied. "In fact, I'm moving you to the main dining room starting next week. Those are the better tables, with customers who tip more generously." Maya was surprised by this sudden change in her manager's attitude. A few hours ago, he had been ready to fire her. Now he was promoting her to the better section of the restaurant. "That is very kind of you," she said. As Maya walked to the subway station, she thought about how dramatically her evening had changed. She had started her shift feeling defeated and wondering if she should quit school and return to Japan. Now, she was carrying a business card from one of Japan's most successful CEOs and enough tip money to pay her rent for the month. The subway ride home to Washington Heights seemed shorter than usual. Maya sat by the window, watching the lights of Manhattan pass by, and thought about her conversation with Keiko. The older woman had shared stories about her own struggles as a young student in America. She had encouraged Maya's dreams and reminded her of her own strength. Most importantly, Keiko had treated Maya like an equal, despite the enormous difference in their circumstances. She had not looked down on Maya for being a server or struggling financially. Instead, she had seen potential and possibility. When Maya reached her small apartment, she called her parents in Tokyo. It was morning there, and her mother was preparing breakfast before leaving for her cleaning job. "Maya," her mother's voice was full of joy. "How are you, my dear daughter?" "I am well, Mama," Maya replied in Japanese. "I have something amazing to tell you." She told her parents about meeting Keiko, though she was careful not to mention the woman's wealth or status. She did not want her parents to get false hopes about opportunities that might not materialize. "She sounds like a very kind woman," her father said when Maya finished her story. "It is good that you met someone who understands your situation." "She reminded me of you, Mama," Maya said. "She has the same gentle wisdom, the same way of making people feel valued." Her mother was quiet for a moment. Maya, remember that kindness often comes back to us when we need it most. You have always treated people well, and now someone is treating you well in return. After talking with her parents, Maya sat in her tiny apartment and carefully placed Keiko's business card on her small desk. Next to it, she put the receipt with the $500 tip. Tomorrow was Sunday, and she would have time to rest and study. But Monday morning, she would make the most important phone call of her life. As she prepared for bed, Maya thought about what Keiko had said. Sometimes things are not what they appear to be. Tonight had certainly proven that truth. A woman who appeared to be an ordinary customer had turned out to be one of the most powerful business leaders in Japan. But Maya wondered if the reverse might also be true. Maybe she, who appeared to be just a struggling foreign student, was actually someone with more potential than she realized. For the first time in months, Maya fell asleep with hope filling her heart instead of worry about the future. She had no idea that Monday's phone call would open doors she had never even dared to imagine. In her simple apartment in Washington Heights, surrounded by textbooks and bills she could barely afford to pay, Maya Sato was about to discover that sometimes the most life-changing moments come disguised as ordinary encounters with ordinary people. But as she was learning, very few people are truly ordinary when you take the time to see them clearly. Monday morning arrived gray and rainy in New York City. Maya had barely slept, spending most of the weekend reading everything she could find about Keiko Tanaka and Tanaka Industries. Each article confirmed what seemed impossible. The quiet woman from the restaurant was truly one of Japan's most successful business leaders. Maya sat at her small desk with Keiko's business card in front of her. It was 9 o'clock in the morning, which seemed like a reasonable time to call a business office. But her hands were shaking as she picked up her phone. What would she say? How do you call one of the most powerful women in Japan and remind her about a conversation with a waitress? Maya dialed the number slowly, her heart beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. Tanaka Industries, New York office, answered a professional female voice in English. Hello, Maya said carefully. My name is Maya Sato. I would like to speak with Mrs. Yamamoto, please. Ms. Tanaka told me to call. One moment, please. Maya waited, listening to soft classical music. She was sure the assistant would come back and say there was some mistake, that Ms. Tanaka had never heard of her. This is Mrs. Yamamoto, came a warm voice speaking in Japanese. You must be Maya. Ms. Tanaka told me to expect your call. Maya felt relief flood through her. Yes, I am Maya Sato. I met Ms. Tanaka on Friday evening. She spoke very highly of you, Mrs. Yamamoto said. Can you come to our office this morning? Ms. Tanaka would like to meet with you. Maya's heart nearly stopped. This morning? You mean today? Yes, if that is convenient for you. Are you free at 11 o'clock? Maya thought about her classes, her study schedule, her shift at the restaurant that evening. None of it seemed important compared to this opportunity. Yes, I can be. There at 11, she said. Mrs. Yamamoto gave her the address of a tall office building in Midtown Manhattan. Take the elevator to the 42nd floor. Ask for me at the reception desk. After hanging up, Maya sat staring at her phone. In less than 2 hours, she would be meeting with Keiko again, but this time in the CEO's office of a major corporation. Maya chose her best outfit, a simple blue dress and black shoes that she usually wore to job interviews. She looked at herself in the mirror of her tiny bathroom and tried to calm her nerves. Whatever happened, she would be respectful and grateful for the opportunity. The subway ride to Midtown seemed to last forever. Maya emerged from the station into the busy streets of Manhattan's business district. Glass towers stretched up toward the gray sky, filled with people making important decisions about millions of dollars. The Tanaka Industries building was impressive, 30 stories of gleaming glass and steel. Maya entered the marble lobby and took the elevator to the 42nd floor. Her stomach felt like it was full of butterflies. The elevator doors opened to reveal an elegant office space. Soft music played in the background, and fresh flowers decorated the reception area. Through large windows, Maya could see panoramic views of Manhattan. You must be Maya, said a woman behind the reception desk. She was about 50 years old with kind eyes and spoke in Japanese. "I am Mrs. Yamamoto. Ms. Tanaka is waiting for you." Mrs. Yamamoto led Maya down a hallway lined with awards and photographs of Tanaka Industries products and projects. Maya tried not to stare, but she was amazed by the evidence of the company's success. They stopped in front of a door with a simple nameplate. Keiko Tanaka, Chief Executive Officer. Mrs. Yamamoto knocked gently and opened the door. "Ms. Tanaka, Maya Sato is here. Please come in," came Keiko's familiar voice. Maya entered the office and was struck by how different it felt from what she expected. Instead of an intimidating executive suite, the space felt warm and welcoming. Books lined the walls. Comfortable chairs were arranged around a small table. Fresh flowers sat on the windowsill. Keiko stood up from behind her desk with the same warm smile Maya remembered from Friday night. She was wearing an elegant business suit now, but her manner was just as kind and gentle as it had been in the restaurant. "Maya, I have been thinking about our conversation all weekend," Keiko continued. "You told me about your dreams of helping young people from developing countries find good jobs. You spoke about wanting to build bridges between cultures and economies." Maya nodded, remembering their discussion in the restaurant. "I also learned about your character on Friday night. I watched how you treated customers who were rude to you. I saw how you continued working hard even when you were tired and discouraged. Most importantly, I saw how you treated me with kindness when you thought I was just an ordinary customer." "You were testing me," Maya said quietly. "Not exactly testing," Keiko corrected. "I was observing. I do this regularly. I visit restaurants, hotels, stores, always dressed simply, always without identifying myself. I want to see how people behave when they think I cannot help their careers." Maya listened with growing understanding. "Over the years, I have met many people in these situations. Most treat me politely but without real interest. Some are rude, because they think I am not important, but very rarely I meet someone like you. Someone like me. Someone who shows genuine kindness to strangers. Someone who works hard despite difficult circumstances. Someone who has dreams of helping others rather than just helping themselves." Keiko stood up and walked to the window overlooking Manhattan. "Maya, I want to offer you something, but first I need to explain why." She turned back to face Maya. "When I was young and struggling like you, an older businessman gave me an opportunity that changed my life. He hired me as an intern at his company when other employers would not even interview me because I was a young Japanese woman. What happened? He taught me about business, about leadership, about seeing potential in people that others overlook. When he retired, he helped me start my own company. Everything I have achieved started with his belief in me." Maya felt tears forming in her eyes as she understood where this story was leading. "Before he died, he made me promise something," Keiko continued. "He made me promise to find young people with potential and give them the same kind of opportunity he gave me." "And you think I have potential?" "I know you do. Your dreams, your character, your determination. These are exactly the qualities I look for." Keiko returned to her seat and leaned forward. "Maya, I would like to offer you a paid internship here at Tanaka Industries. The salary would be enough to cover your tuition and living expenses so you could focus on your studies instead of working in restaurants." Maya felt like she could not breathe. "An internship? Here?" "Yes, you would work 20 hours per week, learning about international business, project management, and cross-cultural communication. During school breaks, you could work full-time if you wanted to." Maya's mind was racing. This was beyond anything she had ever imagined possible. "But I am just a student," she protested. "I have no real business experience." "You have something more valuable than experience," Keiko said firmly. "You have character. You have dreams that include helping others. You have the ability to see people as individuals rather than judging them by their appearance or status. I do not know what to say." "Say yes," Keiko said with a smile. "Unless you need time to think about it." "No," Maya said quickly. "I mean yes. Yes, I accept. Thank you so much." Keiko's smile grew wider. "Wonderful. Mrs. Yamamoto will help you with all the paperwork and details." Maya felt tears of joy and gratitude running down her cheeks. "Ms. Tanaka, why are you doing this for me?" You barely know me. Maya, can I tell you something I learned from my mentor all those years ago? Maya nodded. He told me that success is not just about building wealth or achieving personal goals. True success is about creating opportunities for others to achieve their dreams. When we help someone else succeed, we multiply our own success. Keiko paused and looked out the window again. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. I have a successful company and recognition in my industry. But the thing that gives me the most satisfaction is finding young people like you and helping them build their futures. I promise I will work harder than anyone, Maya said earnestly. I know you will. But I also want you to remember something important. This opportunity is not charity. You earned it through your character and your dreams. Do not ever feel like you owe me anything beyond doing your best work. Maya wiped her tears and tried to compose herself. When would I start? Next Monday, if that works for you. Mrs. Yamamoto will coordinate with your school schedule. What about my job at the restaurant? You can give your notice today. Tell Mr. Chen that you have accepted a position with a company. You do not need to tell him which company unless you want to. Maya laughed through her tears, imagining Mr. Chen's surprise. Ms. Tanaka, I have one more question. Of course. That night at the restaurant, did you choose to sit at my table specifically? Or was it just chance? Keiko smiled mysteriously. I asked for a table in the back section near the kitchen. I wanted to observe how the staff treated customers who seemed unimportant. But I did not request you specifically as my server. So it really was just chance that we met? Was it? Keiko asked. Or do you think the universe sometimes brings the right people together at exactly the right moment? Maya thought about this. If she had called in sick that night, if she had been assigned to a different section, if she had not stopped to check on the quiet woman in the corner,